It's a very special Live Music Friday on the Fabulous 413, where we're bringing you live music, but we're not in the studio. We are going...
Our studios can't handle this.
No, with the Terry Gross microphones that we have in the studio, they would blow the microphone processors out of the water. But we're at a studio in
so
Chicopee.
Loud they hear us on the classical station.
Yeah, we're at a studio in Chicopee with the band Film and Gender, who we've referenced on the show before as part of the local punk scene. But what's your name?
I'm Isley.
And where are you from?
I'm from Agawam, but now I live in East Hampton.
What's your name?
And I'm Brett. I'm also from Agawam.
Nice. So this is, I'm going to say solidly Agawam band, even though we're in Chicopee.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
fair.
Yeah,
that's
Our
absolutely
second
fair.
hometown.
Yeah. Excellent. Tell us about the formation of this band. It's a two-piece.
So me and Brett have been playing music together probably since my junior year in high school, so since like 2015, I want to say. And we had our own band. Just we used to play in his basement a while back, and we started a band around that time called the Chimneys, which Brett is still a part of. Yeah. And then I left that band a couple of years ago, and then COVID hit, and that kind of reset everything in the music scene locally, but just us personally. And then once we both got vaccinated, as a way to kind of do something together, because we're best friends, we just came to this space, which Brett's band practiced at the time, still does. Island knew how to play bass. Brett had always knew how to play drums, but never had really did on a serious project.
Drums is it was my second instrument. I'm usually a guitarist, but I wanted to kind of experiment with something new, and it was a good way to do it with just bass and drums. It's definitely a unique. You don't see that too much.
The bass that you'll be playing is it fills the whole room, even though it's just you and drums.
Yeah, so I use a Fender Standard Action humbuckered pickups, so it's really loud to double the pickups, and I run it through 2 amps. I have a big TC Electronic 250 combo amp, and I run that into a vocal PA, which I use as a second amp, and that fills the room, and I crank the gain, crank the treble, crank the tube drive. So it's the grottiest feedback tone, but like it
All
feels.
the settings built into.
I don't use any pedals.
pedal.
I'm on one stage. I like to dance around. I like to move around. I don't want to sit somewhere and hit the press a pedal. I set up my bass to on the amp how I like it to begin a set, and I'm lucky if I even tune the bass once throughout the entire set. Honestly, we kind of just go from there.
Which is nice because basses don't need to be tuned as much, and you're playing that bass intensely.
Oh yeah, I go through I use flat wound strings.
I'm always changing strings. Every
I
other
don't know how
week.
to change strings, so probably twice a month. I'm going through $100 of strings a month.
Wow. For bass strings, that is a ton.
I snap the E string on my bass all the time. When I slap, when I learned how to play bass, I'm mostly, Brett showed me some, but I'm mostly self-taught, for better and for worse. And I'm like, oh, you slapped the bass, so I just full hand slap it like you're smacking someone's face almost.
Yeah.
I never really learned how to do anything else, and then I pick for the rest of the song. If the song's not entirely on the E string, then I'll use a pick.
Nice. It's the Fabulous 413 Live Music Friday. Let's hear something from Film and Gender.
name come from?
Film and gender.
It was the last class I needed to get my bachelor's degree. And the acronym, which I won't mention,
That totally lost me until right now. Wow,
Yeah,
interesting.
that's
we
an
didn't figure it
honest
out till after
coincidence.
either.
It took pretty quick to figure it out, but like it works. I mean, I kind of caught myself before I knew it.
Taking back ownership of that?
Yeah,
Or-
exactly. A little bit of that, and just it's fun to play into.
Tell us about like the ethos of the band. Like a lot of the songs we're gonna have to do edits of, which is another reason why it's good that we're here in the studio as opposed to at our studio, where we'd have to hit the delay button a million different times.
And hope that it's working.
But they're really fun, but some people might be a tiny bit offended by them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm when I write songs, I'm not afraid to put a lot of expletives in, and
Yeah.
I talk a lot about sex and gender in my songs, and I don't like to sugarcoat it because I mean, one of the major messages of this band is like anti-cis heteronormativity, anti-monogamy, just like being who you want to be, loving who you want, like expressing yourself how you want to be, and I think censoring that in any way or like using analogies or metaphors to kind of cloak that is not anything I am interested in doing, honestly.
It's just like part of the scene and the culture too. Like I remember when we first started a few years ago, like we didn't know a whole lot of bands similar to us, but like now we made so many friends and like other bands with like similar enough music, and it's just like it's so awesome to see.
Do you feel freer to write those types of songs, the songs you're writing for this band, than you did in your previous band, The Chimneys?
It was a completely different kind of band as well.
Yeah, I was the vocals in that band. I did most of the songwriting.
As far as like where we get influences for when I write music, there's some punk in there. Like what got me really like in the punk sphere was listening to the Dead Milkmen. Their bass tone, I tried to mimic that, and then I eventually like mutilated it, and it became what it became now. But like my major inspiration for writing music now, when I listen like genre-wise, I listen to a lot of hip hop, 80s, 90s hip hop, Souls of Mischief, Hieroglyphics, Boogie Down Productions. Not that I'm like rapping in any of our songs, but like I think a lot of the message in those songs. Obviously, different cultures as far as where punk and hip hop comes from, but I think they're very similar in how they're constructed musically, especially what we do with just bass and drums, because old school hip hop especially is just a beat, drum machines, and vocals over that for the most part, and then we're literally just drums, bass, and then me yelling over it. And a lot of the messages in those songs, I think, have some cross-pollination.
Which is interesting because a lot of 80s and 90s hip hop is cisgendered, misogynistic in its own way, and I mean I love it too and listen to it. So that's interesting though that your aesthetic and ethos and lyrics are counter to that, but that you're getting so much inspiration from hip hop. Talk about that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of misogyny in hip hop, like a lot of male aggression. I kind of like that. Some of the male aggression stuff I like, I should say. Where as far as like being on the offense, and talking about and writing a message that like we have the power to change things, rather than that. I like to be optimistic in my lyrics, not just be like, oh, the world sucks, because it does. But there's hope, and we can band together, and we can make change if we want to make change, and we have the power to do that, and we have the power to make community, and talk about what faces queer people.
We're speaking with Isley and Brett from Film and Gender, this Live Music Friday special edition in their studio in Chicopee, which is like a 15 by 15 square room with tons of equipment and amazing like art on the walls and all these interesting drum heads that have drawings on them and signed and things like that.
And it's cool. We've made friends with some of the other bands in here too. Some cool guys who've actually played shows with some of them. So it's cool that there's kind of a whole lot of music going on in this small section of this building.
Yeah, like not where you think it would be, but there's like probably between all the spaces, somewhere around 20 bands.
Wow,
of all sorts of music, making music and practicing music and playing.
And we discovered earlier has been for about like 15-ish
Yeah.
years because I have played here.
It's great, and I mean, in the grand scale of things, it's pretty cheap, and it's a pretty secure area. As far as rehearsal spaces, we're pretty lucky to be in here.
Talk about the greater, I guess, punk rock musical community. You do a lot of shows at 10 Forward and Greenfield and places like that, but there's an underground scene too.
Yeah, of course, whether it's Western Mass or Providence or Boston where we're playing, there's DIY venues that are in basements. We played in churches and living rooms, in attics.
An attic was a good one.
Yeah, in libraries. But that's where I feel that the punk scene's at its most pure to me, because it's everyone, $5 to get in. I love being eye level with people. I don't like being on a big stage, especially like this is intimate music. I want to be looking in people's eyes, and I like to go into the crowd when I'm playing, and I don't want that big stage separating me. And I think those kind of spaces are much more less intimidating and more inclusive to people in the area. I mean, there's a lot of, actually, we have all the colleges around here, and those definitely fuel the Western Mass music scene. UMass, Amherst, and Smith, to be specific. There's a lot going on in Amherst and Hadley and Northampton, fueled by all the great, like legitimately great bands that are getting put together by people our age and younger, in their late teens, early 20s. In the DIY scene, it doesn't matter if If you're a musician, you're someone who's booking shows, you're someone who's running door, or just attending, like those are all really, really important aspects. Like, if people didn't come out to shows, we'd be playing in front of nobody. It's all every person has their part in the scene.
It's also like important to feel like that you can go and see a really awesome, very energetic, really well done show for less than like $60. You don't always have to pay you can always see like something really cool, like mad cheap.
Yeah, like when I'm putting together shows, I feel bad charging more than $10, honestly. I usually do 10 because I like to pay bands or get bands from other scenes to come out to Western Mass because I think it's important for that cross-pollination. And like I like getting more queer bands, more bands that are led by femme people or people of color out here because we don't have a lot of that, unfortunately. And like
I'm right here.
We don't have enough. Yeah, and like we need to make enough money when we're playing a show to at least make sure these bands are making gas money at least. So we need to charge something. I would charge nothing if I could, honestly.
It's Live Music Friday, and we're in Chicopee with Film and Gender. Let's hear something else.
It's a very special Live Music Friday on the Fabulous 413, where we're bringing you live music, but we're not in the studio. We're at a studio in Chicopee with the band Film and Gender.
I want to go back to something you said before, that this music is very intimate, because I don't think that people would assume that music this loud could be intimate. Like, I get it, but could you get into that just a little bit?
The intimacy in the music, I think, is from the community. It attracts, almost, because the punk music scene is, full of queer people, as I said before, like aren't a part of our normal hegemony, and that vulnerability you need in the pit or just at a show makes for a lot of personal connections and a lot of trust, especially if people are dancing and marching around. Like I said, people might get hit, but everyone has trust that, hey, if I hit someone, if I get hit, I'm gonna pick them up, I'm gonna get picked up. For musician audience, being eye level is really important because it puts you on an equal playing field. The best shows are like ping pong matches where we give them some energy, they throw it back even harder, we throw it back even harder, and it's just like a car crash until the end. It's excellent. It's beautiful. It's a huge adrenaline rush, and it's like what I live for almost.
Film and Gender performs tonight in Northampton and has a bunch of other shows lined up for the spring. Check out their Instagram page for more details of where you can get your genderqueer punk on with them.
Next week on the Fabulous 413, we'll hear about defining a healthy democracy through the prism of language with Amherst College's Professor Ilan Stabans.
We'll learn about the intersection of the environment, health, and race with UMass Amherst Professor Malcolm Sen.
We'll hear some of the history of the raid on Deerfield and commemorate commemorate to the day the 320th anniversary of the Deerfield Massacre.
And live music with Valley Band Eavesdrop playing Holyoke next weekend.
Thanks to our tireless Fabulous 413 team. We'll see you Monday on the Fabulous 413.
Have a good weekend!